We're at the Feeding Quality Forum in Kearney, Nebraska, joined now by Dr. Scott Brown, University of Missouri. And today he was talking about the impact of high quality and high grading cattle. Dr. Brown, as we know what's going on in this beef market right now, high quality, high grading, very important.
Absolutely. When you look at where we are today, there's lots of premiums available for those cattle at the highest end of the quality front.
You were here with this group of cattle feeders, really all specters of the industry, some feedlot guys and some stockers. What were some of those things that you shared with them?
Well, certainly trying to focus on, what's demand look like for this high quality product, because I look at where we are today, record cattle prices. I think eventually we're going to build the herd, and that probably means lower prices ahead. What can I do today that really invests for the future so I can survive the next downside of the cattle cycle?
Well, we see the cattle cycle. We thought, a year or two ago we'd start ramping back up, but the prices where we are, it seems like we continue to see record cow prices, record obviously feeder cattle prices, and prices on the board. So prices isn't really not being much of an instigator as far as to retain those heifers.
Yeah, it has been a slow process, and we have a lot of other things going on. Very strong demand for acres being pulled on the crop side for a number of years. All that's beginning to change now. So it'll be interesting to watch as producers look ahead, who wants to build herds. And we look at cow slaughter this year, we've been down pretty hard relative to a year ago. That might suggest we're holding some cows a little longer and not letting them go this year, but we certainly haven't seen a big increase in heifer retention with the data that we have available to us.
As we look at that high quality, probably the first thing that we look at is sire selection, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. Certainly you have to work on the genetic side if you really want to focus on high quality. Although we can feed cattle forever and make them grade prime, that's not a very economically viable solution.
Let's talk about the overall market. You talk about those higher qualities and maybe those higher cuts, but some are saying as we look at those international trades in our export market, it's those mid cuts and those maybe ones that we don't have are still in hot demand.
Well, when you look at the market today, I sometimes go, it's hard to make a bad decision. We're at record levels across the board. Everything seems to work. And yes, exports are going to be important to us, I think, in the U.S. as we look ahead. A number of those markets may be more focused on the quality side, maybe not that very high end, but I think it's our niche in the global cattle business to really be focused more on the quality side. I'd be much rather let some of the other countries important in the cattle industry focus on commodity beef and let us focus on that higher quality product.
Well, as we look at what's going on, we see the grain commodities anyway have a bit of a reduction, making it even more profitable for those cow-calf producers, really all sectors of the beef industry. So talk about that versus kind of that edge, that push for that higher quality. Sometimes we look more at numbers and volume of scale and to make more on that bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look today, I think that's the easiest one right now. Feed prices coming down substantially from where we've been over the last few years. Again, I go, it's hard to make a bad decision. I think when you look at the quality focus, this is really one where you need to look 5-10 years down the road of where does this industry go. I do think we'll get some expansion at some point. I do think we'll see lower prices ahead. How can I purchase insurance, if you will, to avoid having to really bear the brunt of that downside? And I think quality can play a role. I certainly don't want to have to compete if I'm in the beef industry with pork and chicken any more than absolutely necessary. So if I can work on the quality side and I distinguish my product from pork or chicken, all of a sudden that means there's a lot less price competition for that center of plate.
You're not in the genetics game, you're in the economics game, but you did bring up pork and chicken and that consistent product. Are we getting better in the beef industry with delivering that consistent product, whether it be a size of steaks or roast or all those different things? Are we getting better with that consistent product to compete with those other ones that continue to bring that consistent size and flavor?
Well, so I think we are getting better. I just think we have a long ways to go to really compete with pork and chicken in terms of putting that consistent product in front of consumers. And whether that's sitting down for what I think is a high-end steak and then having a poor eating experience, those are the things we have to correct in front of us if we're really going to talk about beef prices that continue to stay well above pork and chicken prices.
All right. Well, appreciate your time, and thanks for your presentation today.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Dr. Scott Brown from the University of Missouri has been our guest at the Feeding Quality Forum going on in Kearney. For AgView, I'm Ken Rogers.